What is going on, everyone, and welcome back. It is another beautiful spring day, and today I wanted to take you along with me for a day in the life as I'm going to reorganize my entire comic collection today. If you remember in last week's video, I mentioned I've been doing some reorganizing, but it was only temporary as I'm going to reorganize my entire comic collection into a new filing cabinet I just purchased, as well as reorganize my entire Daredevil collection into a new short box. So come along with me. I'm going to do some reorganizing today on this beautiful spring day in this day in life. The first thing I want to do is take all of my action figures and trades off of my media center so I can take my media center out of here and bring my filing cabinet in and kind of be able to see where I want to put each comic box into my filing cabinet. But first thing I have to do is take all of my figures and trades off so that way I can get this media center out of here. And I still want to keep all of these action figures on my filing cabinet, so I'm going to make sure to keep them somewhere that I can just grab them and put them back up on my filing cabinet whenever I get my filing cabinet in here. Now that I have all my action figures taken off, the idea that I have with my comics is I want to display some of my favorite comics on top of my filing cabinet, as well as some of my comics that I have on my to be read, and kind of display that as a way to show you and document what I'm reading currently, as well as some of my favorite stories, and maybe give you some inspiration for what you should read next, or a story that I'm really enjoying and can give you inspiration for what you could read, and maybe just delve into a new favorite character, a new favorite author, a new favorite artist, and hopefully give you some inspiration that way. And I think it's just a really cool idea to do that way. This is actually one of the books on my to be read list, and this is Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer's Murder Falcon. I actually won this in a giveaway from my friend Kazi on TikTok, and I am just so thankful to have this. This is such a beautiful comic in such a beautiful format, and I cannot wait to delve into this amazing story, Murder Falcon, and just read this beautiful story in such a beautiful format. This has some amazing art and storytelling throughout, as you can see, and I can just not wait to delve in and just get my hands on this story and just start reading and see what the hype is about, because I just know this is going to be a great read. I'm a huge fan of Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. They're just an amazing creative duo, and not reading this yet kind of feels like a disservice, so this has to be read, honestly, this month, I think. Now that I have my action figures and comics taken off my media center, I'm going to take my media center out of my room now, as I mentioned before, and bring my filing cabinet in here. I know that I'm going to have to move my bookshelf over just a little bit because my filing cabinet is just a little bit bigger than my media center was, but I am just so excited to see how this turns out. I know that it's going to hit just right at the bottom of my Daredevil poster, and I think it's going to look so nice, especially with the trades on the top, as well as some of my favorite action figures. I think it's just going to come out so nice. I'm so excited, but first thing we have to do is get this media center out of here. I definitely underestimated the weight of this filing cabinet when getting it upstairs. It was a lot lighter when I remember getting it into the cart versus getting it upstairs, but it is now in the corner and it looks great. I am so happy with how this turned out. Now it's just time to reorganize my comics and start putting stuff away and putting things on here how I want. As you can see here, I just brought in both these boxes into my room, and these are my Marvel long box, which has everything assorted from Avengers all the way to Wonder Man, and then this bottom box you see is all of Ed Brubaker's Daredevil run, as well as most of my ongoing single issues. And so my goal today is to create a Daredevil short box, which I just purchased over the weekend. On this side has the A cover, which matches my poster perfectly, and then on this side has the epic Daniel Warren Johnson variant cover. So excited to put my Daredevil collection into the short box, and then I'm going to free up space for my Marvel box to have room for my back issues, and then this bottom box will be my ongoing series, so everything Marvel, DC, and Image, and then I will have a separate box for my DC back issues. So I'm just going to start organizing and documenting, and then I want to share with you some of my favorite comics in my collection throughout the way. But first, most importantly, is organizing my Daredevil collection, and doing so, I think the easiest way to do this is to bring this box off of my stool and put this box up here. This is my Marvel back issue box. And so the first thing I want to do is start organizing all of my Daredevil back issues and showing you some of my favorites. So as I mentioned, it assorts everything from the Avengers all the way to Wonder Man, and all of my Avengers collection is featuring my favorite Avenger, Wonder Man. So pretty cool to have in my collection. I know the first Daredevil series I have in here is Daredevil and the Punisher, which is a series that just wrapped up at the beginning of this year. This was a 5-issue miniseries in the middle of a Punisher run from the mid-2000s, and talks about a few nights between Daredevil and the Punisher. A really interesting miniseries. I really enjoyed it, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend picking it up. I know that that might be a hot take, possibly, but honestly, I don't think that that is the best miniseries to come out as of recently, especially with Daredevil Cold Day in Hell by Charles Soule being out as of recently. So here first I have all of my Daredevil and the Punisher collection, all 5 issues. So I'm going to put those at the front because that's going to be my mini-series. I think that will be the easiest way to sort through my mini-series, is having them at the very front rather than having them assorted alphabetically. And then from there, I want to start assorting my original Daredevil series. So that being The Man Without Fear, all the way from Stan Lee's run to Ann Nocenti. And it is here towards the back, actually, of my Daredevil. And the first issue, I believe, that I have here with me is issue 182 of Frank Miller's run. A beautiful, beautiful cover. One of my favorite covers in my collection, honestly. 223, we're getting close to Daredevil Born Again, but not quite there. And here it is, Daredevil Born Again, issue 232. The other issue that I have is issue 233, and so I need to sort through that and make sure to put that in here. And here it is, issue 233, the final issue of Daredevil Born Again by Frank Miller, an iconic run. And I'm hoping to collect the entire run in single issues. Here we have issue 240, an iconic cover, again featuring Daredevil and Tombstone. And then issue 262 of Ann Nocenti's run, another underrated writer for Daredevil. She started writing right after Frank Miller ended Daredevil Born Again, and she did a phenomenal job, gave us some amazing stories along the way, and I am just so excited to have Ann Nocenti's single issues in my collection. I've honestly have a pretty good collection of hers. I have almost all of issues 261 through 270. So there was 264, here's 265. And I think I have 2 copies of 264 if I'm not mistaken. And then we have 266. Next we have 269 featuring the Blob. The last part of my original Daredevil run from Ann Nocenti that I have is the iconic Last Rites saga. And here we have all 4 issues, starting with issue 297 here. And then we go into issue 298. My favorite cover of this is issue 299, an iconic cover featuring Kingpin and Daredevil. And last but not least, issue 300, legacy number 300, an iconic part of this run, honestly, from Ann Nocenti is the Last Rites saga, and I'm so happy to have it. And then right after that, I have issue 307, an iconic cover featuring Tombstone. And this, believe it or not, I found for only $1. So a crazy snipe, honestly. If you've been following my past few videos, you may have noticed a trend where I'm collecting all of Ed Brubaker's run in entirety in single issues, and the only 2 issues I have left to collect are issue 111 and issue 113, and both of those are a part of the Lady Bullseye arc from Ed Brubaker, and the first appearance of Lady Bullseye is Lady Bullseye Part 1, so that one's a little bit tougher to find, but I know I'm going to find it here soon. I just have a feeling. Here we have issue 82, and then we have issue 83, another beautiful cover, issue 84, And then issue 85. 86 is actually the start of Devil in Cell Block D, which is a part of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. If you were watching Daredevil Born Again Season 2, you may have known that already, but if not, that is a cool little fact for you. Here we have issue 87, one of my favorite covers, and then here we have issue 88. Issue 89, another beautiful cover here, and I just have had such a good luck finding all of these single issues. Issue 90, issue 91, another beautiful cover. Issue 92. Issue 95 is probably my favorite cover in this series. Here we have issue 93, issue 94, and then here I want to show you issue 95. This beautiful, beautiful cover. I just love the details on this. I think that is just such an iconic cover for this run, if I do say so myself. Issue 96, another iconic cover. And we're just going to keep going through and showing issue 97, issue 98, issue 99, and issue 100 right here. If you did not know, actually, too, this is the continuation of Brian Michael Bendis' run. So Brian Michael Bendis did issues 16 through issue 81, if I'm not mistaken. And right after issue 81, Ed Brubaker continues in issue 82 and just keeps his foot on the gas. I am on the search for Brian Michael Bendis' entire run, and I'm hoping to collect it, honestly, in an omnibus, is what I've been thinking for reading that and having it, because it seems like one of the definitive Daredevil runs, and I've heard nothing but good things. Brian Michael Bendis is an amazing writer. He wrote some iconic stories such as Ultimate Spider-Man. He gave us the introduction of Miles Morales. He gave us an amazing X-Men run that is wrapped in controversy, but I really enjoy, honestly. Issue 109, issue 110, and then, as I mentioned before, we don't have issue 111, but we have issue 112 here. And then we don't have issue 113, but we have issue 114 here. And then issue 115, 116, another beautiful, beautiful cover. Issue 117. We're getting close to the end. Issue 118. Issue 119, the second to last issue of this iconic series, and the last part to Return of the King. And then last but not least, here we have Legacy number 500 and the beautiful A cover. I'm just so happy to have that in my collection. And this Daredevil short box is coming along really nicely because I almost don't have room for Mark Waid's run if I collect all of it and all of Chip Zdarsky's run in single issues. So that may become a problem in the future, but we also have a Marvel back issue box. So not to fear, we will still have room. So now that I have all of Ed Brubaker's run assorted, the next run that I have collected is Mark Waid's Daredevil run, and I have both the first run in single issues as well as his second run. So I have issue 1 as well as issue 7 here, which is my favorite cover of all time. Issue 7 is actually my banner for YouTube, if you did not notice before. And then I have issue 8 here. Now that I have all of my Daredevil collection assorted into one box, I am so happy with how it turned out. I'm going to put it on the top drawer of my filing cabinet because I feel it's only right. The Man Without Fear gets the top spot, as that's what I've been collecting and reading the most. That is my favorite character. So I'm going to go ahead and put this at the top drawer and then put it as close to the top and front as possible. So that way it's easy to pull out and sort through, just like so. And then we will close back the cabinet now and lock it. And perfect, it fits perfectly. Now that I have all of my Daredevil comics put up into my Daredevil short box, I now want to put back all of my Marvel long box and back issues and sort through some that I've picked up recently and share them with you. The first of which I want to share with you is none other than Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's Spider-Man Blue issue number 1, an iconic mini-series from this creative team, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, creative duo. And now that Tim Sale is no longer with us, being able to physically collect not only the single issues of this amazing story, but also the trade of this story is really special to me. This story is one that holds close to heart, and first time reading, I definitely was crying. This is just such a touching story about the night that Gwen Stacy died. A beautiful retelling of the iconic Amazing Spider-Man story from an amazing creative duo. The next of which I wanted to share with you is some really cool, astonishing X-Men covers that I picked up. And the first of which I have here is the first appearance of Armor. So this is a very important key issue in my collection because Armor is my favorite X-Men in the new era of X-Men. So Cyclops is probably my favorite X-Men of all time, but Armor is my favorite new X-Men to be introduced and new created X-Men. She was the main character of Pete Moko's Ultimate X-Men story, and such an amazing character, Hisako Armor Ichiki. Just really amazing, a really interesting story, a phenomenal series. If you have not read Ultimate X-Men, I highly recommend doing so. But it is just super awesome to have the first appearance ever. My Wonder Man collection is growing very nicely. If you remember in last week's video, I shared with you a little bit of a birthday haul, and my girlfriend got me for my birthday the Saga of Simon Williams, which is an epic collection of Wonder Man stories all the way from the first appearance in issue number 9 of the Avengers all the way to the Peter David run in the early 2000s. And ever since watching the show, I've been inspired to start my own collection of Wonder Man, and I started with the early West Coast Avengers because I knew that was going to be the easiest to obtain, and I got lucky and have started collecting one of the first Wonder Man series from the early 90s. So I wanted to share some of the things that I have here with me from my Wonder Man collection. Here we have issue number 1 of the 4-part miniseries of the West Coast Avengers, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the first West Coast Avengers series, which features Wonder Man as a part of the main team. And then we have issue number 1 of the West Coast Avengers, which is another series that came out the next following year after this 4-part miniseries. So the first series came out in 1984, this second series 1985, and then here we have issue number 43 of the West Coast Avengers, another iconic cover featuring Wonder Man. And then we start getting into the really good stuff. Here we have issue number 1 of the Wonder Man series from the early 90s. And then we have issue number 2 I found over the weekend. So back to back issue 1 and 2 now. And then we have issue number 3, another successful find I found not too long ago. And then coming after issue number 3 would be issue number 7 in my collection. And then over the weekend, while I found issue number 2, I also found issue number 8 to add to the collection, and issue number 9, another amazing find. And honestly, this is one of my favorite covers in that series. And then last but not least, we have the annual, which is after issue number 11 in the Wonder Man series. So my Wonder Man collection is coming together very nicely, and I am very satisfied with what I've been able to find so far. Another box fully reorganized. My entire Marvel back issue box has been reorganized now, and I'm going to put it in my 3rd shelf because I know that I have been reading a lot more Marvel back issues as of recently as opposed to DC, and the bottom 2 drawers are going to be for back issues. So I'm going to put the Marvel back issues right above my DC back issues, and it fits in just perfectly and clears amazing to where it just locks right in. If I want to go in, grab a book, I can just open it right up, and then boom. Oh, I want to read Avengers Annual. Amazing. This is just honestly a dream come true. I'm so happy with how this is turning out. I'm almost done putting away all of my DC back issues, and going through my DC back issues, I'm now realizing that I have a very small amount of DC back issues compared to Marvel back issues, and honestly, that should change soon because I have been wanting to collect more DC stories, and there is just no better time than now. I feel like there's so many amazing DC compacts out there to collect and read, and there's just so many amazing interesting characters that have such a rich history with DC spanning for such a long time with so many amazing characters. And going through all of these back issues, it's making me realize that the only characters that I really collect are the Bat family, and that honestly should change. There are so many other interesting DC characters out there that I can collect. Like right now I'm putting up some of my Superman comics, and here is Action Comics, one of my favorite covers. This was actually a gift from my girlfriend for our anniversary. But that's what I mean. I mean, there is such a little amount of Superman that I have in here compared to Batman. Like, here's another Superman that I have, and that is actually from Daniel as a gift for Christmas, one that I picked up recently, the second race between Superman and the Flash. A really cool cover and one of my favorites in my collection. 3 boxes down, 1 to go. My DC back issue box is now fully reorganized, and I'm going to put this on my bottom shelf because my DC back issues are what I read the least amount, as I mentioned before. And this actually fits perfectly in this bottom drawer. I think that the bottom drawer has a little bit less space than the top 3 drawers, and it just works out absolutely perfect. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I am at letter E in organizing my current ongoing single issues, and here I have with me issues 1 through 6 of Escape by Rick Remender and Daniel Acuna. I am really enjoying this series. After a brief hiatus, Escape comes back later this month with issue number 7, and I am so pumped. I cannot wait for issue number 7. This is one of my favorite ongoings at the moment. Milton Shaw, a bomber pilot, is fighting against a fascist empire and attempting to take them down, and behind enemy lines, his plane is taken down in the very city he just brought to ruins. And in 24 hours, Milton Shaw must escape before the opposing side is dropping the big one. This is a really interesting story so far, and as I mentioned before, with issue number 6 being the last issue that we had before a brief hiatus for the past 2 months, issue number 7 comes out later this month, and I think this would be a great time to jump on to this series to get ready for issue number 7. I am now to letter S, and here I have one of my favorite series at the moment, Psi Dimensional Rivals. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries following Psi, a alternate version of Psylocke, and she is helping Galactico find the 7th Infinity Stone, a hidden Infinity Stone, and she's traveling across dimensions helping Galactico to find this Infinity Stone in this fun adventure and quest. And every single issue features different artists and writers, so every time Psi travels to a new dimension, there is a new artist and writer that is working on those panels, and I really enjoy this story. It is very creative, very fun, a great adventure, and if you enjoy stories like that, I think you would really enjoy this story. Peach Momoko is just killing it with this story. And then right after that, after S comes T, of course, and here I have all of my ongoing Transformers single issues, starting with issue 25, because I felt it was only right to put Daniel Warren Johnson's run in my back issues, being that Daniel Warren Johnson's run is now over, and Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora are now taking over for Transformers. And so I have all the way up to the most current issue, issue 31 here, a beautiful cover. And I've been really enjoying this series so far. I think Robert Kirkman has done a great job taking over for Daniel Warren Johnson, and I'm really excited to see where this series continues to go. The final 2 issues of my new ongoing box. Here we have X-Men issue 25 as well as X-Men United issue number 1. I am finally done reorganizing all of my boxes and all of my comics. I can say this was a successful time, and now all I have to do is go through and organize some of my action figures into my setup now that I have all of my short boxes reorganized, and that fits flawlessly. I now have all of my filing cabinets filled up with short boxes, and they are fully organized. I am so thankful. You may have noticed that whenever I reorganize my bookshelf, I put up my Daredevil Billy Club, so now I want to put them back on my bookshelf where I had them and set back my action figures onto my filing cabinet now that I have my filing cabinet organized and all my comics put up. So I'm just going to start putting away all my action figures, and then once I get done, I'm going to show you everything, and we'll do a little recap. One of, if not my favorite figures that I own is my Daredevil CT Toys action figure, because the level of detail on this figure is amazing. The just realistic quality to this figure is absolutely phenomenal. I got this as a gift for my birthday for my girlfriend, if you watched last week's video, and I am just so happy to see how it turned out with my filing cabinet, because his billy clubs literally look like they're shooting right up to the filing cabinet, trying to get to the higher ground, and it's just perfect, especially with the billy clubs right behind him and the Marvel Daredevil poster. And the last figure I have to pose is my Boba Fett action figure from childhood, and I am so incredibly happy with how this turned out. This is honestly exactly what I was imagining in my head whenever I was thinking about getting a filing cabinet, making it so much easier to organize all of my comics and just grab what I'm looking for without having to swap out a box, move something around, and then I can also put my action figures right on top, and it looks so nice. I am just so incredibly happy with how this turned out. Thank you all so much for watching and staying tuned till the end. I'm going to go ahead and get out of frame now so you can see and appreciate this as much as I can seeing it in person. I cannot thank you enough for the love and support here lately. You guys have been killing it, freaking blowing my mind. We just hit 900 subscribers on YouTube. That is insane. We are so close to 1,000, and we also just hit 900 on TikTok. So I'm planning on doing a giveaway whenever we hit 1,000 on both TikTok and YouTube, and doing a combined giveaway and giving you guys some comics that I think you will really enjoy, some really cool variant covers that I have in my collection, some of my favorite stories, as well as some of my favorite single issues. So I am just super excited to be able to do this. I'm so thankful to be in the place that you guys have put me in, to be able to do a giveaway and do any videos like this, making any content at all. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the frame now so you can see. Thank you all so much for watching. We will be back tomorrow for New Comic Book Day. Peace.